Welcome, dear friends, dear ones. Thank you for joining me today. The world is absolute chaos outside. We are feeling the brutal edge of so much global conflict and global strife. Hearts breaking, struggling, yearning for connection, yearning for peace, yearning for something better. Thank you for joining. My name is Zeb Green, and I am the MC, the Master of Ceremonies for Sacred Mischief. I am so glad to have you here. Please, I invite you to take a moment of stillness. Get comfortable in your seats. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. Breathe in a natural, calming rhythm. Hold some peace as the world is chaotic. The waves are crashing around us. Take a moment to find ourselves so we can get on top of the waves and ride them. Connect to whatever source of beauty, source of inspiration leads and guides you. You so much more than anyone ever truly believes. We have so much more. Today I wanted to talk about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. My prayer for peace, my prayer for Gaza, prayer to release the hostages, a prayer for all people, my hopes and my dreams. I come to this space as a Christian heathen struggling to find peace in a brutal world. I come to this space with so much love for Palestine, so much love of Israel. Come to this space with all the tenderness and support that I've received from Muslims and from Jewish people. I write this and speak to all the peace advocates wrestling with a need for a ceasefire, yet aware of the deep grief in the hearts of our Jewish friends and families. My words are assuredly imperfect, and for all the offense I cause today, I apologize. I am always striving to learn and to do better. But I refuse to be silent while bombs fall. The late Archbishop Desmond Tutu famously said, "If you are neutral in situations of injustice, then you have chosen the side of the oppressor." This quote describes the core direction of my moral compass. If an oppressed population calls out for help, I will support them. Where is the injustice? Who has the most power? Who has the most need? I will be there to support liberation. For the powerless against the powerful. For those fighting for justice against the unjust. I will be there for liberation. The challenge to this compass, though, this moral compass, is what do you do when two oppressed groups are in conflict? Whose side do you take? The devastation happening in Gaza has set many moral compasses spinning. What do we do? Who do we support? And how? I am unabashedly, fervently on the side of Palestinian freedom and for the end of the occupation. Israel's military overshadows anything that Palestinians could muster. Palestine is oppressed by Israel. At the same time, we can't ignore that anti-Semitism is on the rise. Hate crimes targeting the Jewish community are getting bolder, louder, and more deadly. The Jewish people need our support, and Israel is the home for so many Jewish people that have nowhere else to go. How do we support one without threatening the other? In the face of such a large question, how do we support one without threatening the other? Many choose to remain silent. We allow this overwhelmingly complex situation to silence us. We don't want to be seen as betraying anyone, so in our silence, countless lives are taken, oppression continues. I will never forget being in the city of Hebron, Al-Khalil, Palestine. I watched as the Israeli Defense Forces shut down large sections of the city and mobilized dozens of troops to barge into homes and take kids from their families, to grab children off the street. We watched, documented, and protested as they dragged children into vehicles to interrogate them. The sound of wailing children rose above the noise of their war machines, and a group of Palestinian children surrounded us, hoping that international observers could offer some protection. The reason for all of this? 2 children were throwing stones at each other. One was Israeli, the other was Palestinian. The Israeli child was injured, however. So the skirmish got labeled a terrorist attack. And IDF went searching to punish the so-called terrorist for throwing a stone. A child throwing a rock was met with military action. Friends, you never forget the fear and trembling of small children huddling behind you in the face of a military raid. You never forget. In Hebron, I witnessed armed Israeli settlers raid homes and force Palestinians into the street at night. The Israelis would fly their flag out the window, claiming the building as their new home. Settlers would gather in the streets and town squares to celebrate the seizing of homes. The military would be called in, not to help Palestinians get their homes back, but to protect the settlers and to ensure that they were not removed. The level of power that Israel wields over Palestinians is beyond anything I could have imagined. The nightmare lack of Palestinian rights is dystopian. Palestine needs our support. My heart weeps for Palestine. My heart, too, weeps for the Israeli citizens who were murdered on October 7th and the hostages that were taken. I try to imagine what it must feel like to be Jewish and to see that attack and feel deep in the gut generations of persecution. An attempt at eradication that happened less than a century ago is still so close to memory. Anti-Semitism has shaped global politics for centuries, and we see the rise of neo-Nazis today. We just see the racist tropes come over again and again. We see the attacks on synagogues, on houses of worship. Of course, people are afraid and angry. Jewish people need our support. Israel's not Judaism. But I understand the emotional connection and symbolism is strong. I understand the weight of that connection is beyond my understanding. Yes, of course, we need to be free to criticize Israel. Criticizing Israel is not anti-Semitic. We need to remember, us who criticize, that anti-Semites can and do masquerade their hatred, hide it under a banner of legitimate criticism of the state. There are good reasons that people are wary of such criticism. It doesn't mean that we need to silence ourselves and stop arguing for a ceasefire. We just need to remember to be careful in how we argue and what words we use. The move to overthrow oppressors cannot be rooted in dehumanization. We must strive towards liberation for all people. So what do we do? What do we do? I look to the teachings of nonviolence that I was trained in. Though I prefer not to use the term nonviolence as it's too ambiguous. How can one be nonviolent in such a violent world? That question can derail many conversations. I prefer to discuss agape, universal love. Agape is the force that empowered the nonviolent struggle. Agape, not defined by what it's against, but what it is for. Agape is a love for all people, a prayer for them as fellow journeyers on this planet. Agape reminds us that we are fundamentally related and connected. We have to honor each other's humanity. This type of love does not mean affection or tenderness. This type of love does not exclude anger or accountability. Agape is a love that acknowledges that no matter what happens, no matter what wrongs are committed, no matter what, we never forget the humanity of our opponents. We never forget to affirm our connection to each other. It is through agape and the affirmation that I try to navigate and chart my direction when the moral compass is spinning. Right now, over 11,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since the retaliation of the October attack began. Homes destroyed. People displaced. Hospitals reduced to rubble. And no signs of a ceasefire. The humanity of Palestinians calls to us and demands that we stop the bombs. Honoring the humanity of Israelis calls us to never forget that there are hundreds of civilian hostages that need to be freed. Over 1,000 lives were taken that need to be grieved. We need to remember that neo-Nazis are marching and threatening Jewish people across the globe. And we need to be clear that we will show up for the Jewish community, link arms, and declare never again. I truly believe that so much support in the United States for continued military action and opposition to a ceasefire is rooted in a fear that no one will materialize in solidarity against anti-Semitic violence. Rooted in a history that shows betrayal and indifference to the humanity of Jewish people by the Christian world. Whatever our faith, whatever our background, whatever our history, whatever we come to this situation with, we have to be visible and dependable allies to the Jewish community. We have to build trust. Without trust, there can never be peace. Our path towards peace and a ceasefire is a path that holds the humanity of both sides in our hearts. The path towards peace and a ceasefire also holds that sympathy for complex emotions, complex histories, does not equate to neutrality. The ongoing oppression of Palestine must end. We have to be unequivocal in that demand, just as we must be unequivocal in our support of the Jewish community. Right now, there is a war. There is worse than a war, there is a genocide. UN experts are resigning over the futility they feel in watching a genocide unfold and the global community proving incapable of stopping it. The bloodshed must end. Palestine needs to be free. We need a ceasefire. Wherever there is injustice, we must take the side of the oppressed. We need a ceasefire. Please, my friends, join me in a spirit of prayer. Beloved God, champion of liberation, toppler of empires, the abject, heartbroken lover, we call your presence to mind. We ask for your guidance. Please lead us to the place where the bombs stop falling. Show us how to grind the war machine to a halt. Let there be a stillness. Send us a dream of something better. Nurture a phoenix to rise from the ashes. Oh God, send us peace. And send Gaza peace. Send Gaza water. Send Gaza electricity. Send Gaza doctors and medical care. Send Gaza care and love. Hold and embrace the people. God, soften the hearts of the world leaders. Soften the hearts of all who drop bombs. Remind all the humanity of Palestinians. God, send peace. Send justice. Send mercy. Send peace. Amen. Thank you, dear ones, for joining me. I hold you all in a spirit of peace and love. I hold you all in this complex and difficult time. I know we all struggle for peace, we all struggle for liberation, we all struggle to balance multiple needs, multiple perspectives, multiple people. It is a hard world, and all I can say is we do not have to go it alone. We have each other. You can always reach out. And we will keep fighting for peace, and we will keep fighting for liberation, and we will fight for love to shine above all. Be well, my friends.